In 1951, Mohammad Mossadegh was elected prime minister through rising popularity. He fought both internal corruption and the British colonialism, enacted social reforms, and nationalized the Iranian oil industry.
Iranian oil was controlled by the British through the Anglo-Persian Oil Company, now known as BP, since 1913. The Iranian public became more aware of the fact that Iran was receiving a substantially small amount of oil from the AIOC. In comparison, Aramco, an oil monopoly in Saudi Arabia, gave a 50-50% profit-sharing deal. British-Iranian aggression escalated when Iran failed to incorporate British involvement in oil. In turn, the UK made it hard for Iran to sell its oil abroad by enforcing a blockade.
There was a perceived communist threat in Iran. The Truman administration utilized a geopolitical foreign policy in regards to Iran. After the Korean War of 1950, the United States was fearful of Soviet expansion. Iran was classified, due to its oil reserves and resources, as an important asset vulnerable to the Soviet Union. However, it was the Tudeh party which was the biggest threat. The Communist Party of Iran was gaining momentum as it aided Mossadegh in his crusade to nationalize oil in Iran. During the height of the Cold War, the Tudeh party was considered a viable threat to America's containment policy.
This operation was conducted during Dwight D. Eisenhower's administration and was advocated by John Foster Dulles and supervised by Allen Dulles, his brother. Many, however, argue that the United States masked their true intentions under their containment communism policy. Their true intentions, however, was centered around oil in Iran. The U.S. required the removal of the British monopoly on the oil industry if 5 American oil companies were to be instituted in Iran. Also, the organizations, being the CIA and the MI6, worked with the Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who wanted to regain the Iranian monarchy and rule absolute control. This was the CIA's first successful dismantling of a foreign government.
The coup itself took place on August 19, 1953, as a crowd of pro-Shah demonstrators tied to the CIA moved to the center of Tehran. They were joined by the military, tanks, and started sacking offices. Clashes thus began taking place between pro and anti-supporters. 200 people were reported to have died in front of Mossadegh's home. According to released CIA documents, some of Iran's most feared mobsters were hired for the riots, and it is estimated that between 300 to 800 people were killed in total. Mossadegh was captured and convicted of treason, and on December 21, 1953, he was sentenced to 3 years in jail and was put on house arrest for the remainder of his life.
The coup ended Iran's assertion of sovereign control over its own resources and ended a flourishing chapter in Iranian history in its democratic and national movements. It also led to the anti-American sentiment seen today throughout the nation.